I need to make 2 warnings before I start talking about what I'm going to talk about. This vlog is heated, let's say right now in my mind, because of a current event or something that happened to me earlier this morning. A pickup truck, I'll just show the video, I think it's all on video, but a pickup truck was carrying a bunch of garbage and shit and whatever, and one of the bags fell off the back of the truck on the highway going 70. And luckily I was in the other lane and I saw it coming, but that being said, it still really ticked me off. So from what I've seen, that seems to be true. Holy shit, garbage just fell off. So what I want to talk about, and this applies to stuff like that and a million other things, is personal responsibility. And by that I mean the act of individual citizens and government officials, whatever for that matter, just individual people taking responsibility for their actions, giving a shit, and not doing stupid stuff that is unnecessarily dangerous, and overall using their own brain power and their own knowledge and their own life experiences to make well-informed decisions for their children and themselves and to keep people safe around them. I don't agree with a lot of the pessimistic, kids these days, people do this, people do that, blah, 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 blah. But the one thing that I do believe is true about people in general, and not young people, I want to say all people in general, is everybody is much more quick to not take responsibility for something that they've done and to just not overall give a crap about people around them. So let's rewind, all right? Let's rewind to the 1800s, 1900s, kind of whenever. So, periods of time long ago. That's a nice Range Rover. Periods of time long ago, all right? People, there was no such thing as police, right? There were fire departments by the 1900s. I think by like 1900 there were fire departments and stuff. I don't really know when the first police force was, but my point is if you go back far enough in history, there were no firemen, there were no policemen, there were no ambulances. Now, obviously, people died more because of that, and I'm not denying that. But at the same time, what that forced human beings to do is, I'm gonna get pulled out on. Okay, maybe not. Is it forced human beings to take responsibility for themselves. There's a reason why in the Wild Wild West you all had guns. Every single person, because there were no police. You had to be your own police. When you lived 100 miles away from the nearest town and somebody came trying to steal your cattle, and somebody came trying to steal your cattle, you had no choice but to defend yourself and your family, because if you didn't, you were all dead. It's that simple. There was no magic number you could call 911 and have people come for you. So, and I do want to mention, I'm not saying by any means that ambulances and fire departments and police are a bad thing. They're a great thing overall, and I'm glad we have them now, because the world would be a lot scarier, a lot harsher place if we didn't. But that being said, in my opinion, that is no excuse for you to not have personal responsibility for yourself. So in my opinion, you should have ways to protect you and your family, and you should have thought of plans and do things to keep you and your family safe beyond just saying, okay kids, something happens, dial 911. That's a very good thing to do, but it can't be the only answer. And nowadays I feel like people have gotten to a point where they just let 911 be the only answer. They have no provisions for self-preservation and self-protection, and they just say, okay, if something bad happens, dial 911, they'll take care of it. The reality is, though, police aren't gods. They can't just be at your door by a snap of the finger. You have to protect yourself. You have to find ways. Now, if you don't like guns, or your state doesn't allow them, or country doesn't allow them, whatever, I'm not saying that you have to go out and buy a gun. What I'm saying is find ways to protect yourself. Take defense courses. Take training classes for different skills and knife tactics or whatever, whatever you're comfortable with. You don't have to be a violent person to care about dealing with violence if it comes your way. I'm not suggesting that you go out and get in fights and use violence. I'm just suggesting when there's no other option, I know personally I will use violence. So my point is that you have to take personal responsibility for yourself and your family. You can't rely on others to constantly help you. And this connects to things like welfare. Now, I know a lot of people who are on welfare are trying, they're working hard, and they just can't make ends meet because of a lot of reasons. Like I talked about in my upstate New York, what it's like living here video, the minimum wage is not high enough in some states. I personally feel like anyway. And so I know there's tons of reasons to not be able to do something. But for the people, and I know of people personally who do this, especially because of the town I live in, for the people who just sit around, do nothing, and collect welfare checks, those are the people that, first of all, disgust me. I'll be honest. I'm not going to hold back. They disgust me, and I think they should be kicked off the program and forced to work, because there are jobs around that can be done, and whatever. Not the point. So what it comes down to, though, is taking personal responsibility, providing for yourself and your family through protection, through financially, morally, everything like that. Now, how this relates to the guy with the garbage in the back of his truck. Well, a lot of people, that guy's sitting in his truck, he's driving along, all that crap's behind him. What does he care? If it falls off the pickup, what does he care? Now, I want to make a point. It was not by any means a secure load. You could tell that it was very unsecure. Now, if it were a secure load and a freak thing fell off, well, what are you going to do? But the whole bag was above the bed, which I hope I got on video, like I said, so I can show you. But the whole thing was above the bed of the truck, and it was barely tied down, which is just bullshit. So now this guy, who apparently doesn't give a shit about anyone around him, because the car could be damaged too. I mean, if there's metal and heavy wood and whatever in that garbage bag, it could easily go through a windshield of a car. So this guy, who apparently doesn't care about anyone or anything, is driving along with that bag, and it falls out of the truck. Somebody gets killed. All right? Let's say somebody got killed. Let's say I was right there and it hit me and I got killed, which is a very sombering thought. But beyond that, now it comes down to one of those things where, that's a really nice sounding truck. It comes down to one of these things where the guy is, how does it work out? Does the guy deserve to go to jail for murder? Honestly, not really. I mean, it's not like he actively tried to murder someone, but at the same time, he was being stupid and he got someone killed. So it comes down to one of those things now where that person failed to take personal responsibility and tie down that load correctly, and he got someone killed. So what happens next? And obviously accidents happen, and obviously that was an accident. I'm sure he didn't mean to have the garbage fall off of the back of the truck. But the point is people, and a lot of people, and I hate to generalize. I really, really, really hate to generalize, but I feel like a lot of people don't care. A lot of people don't care about their own, anything except their own little world. They just sit around and, drive around, talk, whatever. People don't care about anything but what's in their own little world. They just go through life living, a 50-foot radius of themselves. If something's happening beyond 50 feet of them, they just don't care. So that's a mindset that leads to stupid accidents and just stupid things that should never have to happen, like that garbage bag falling off of the truck. Now, I know it might seem like I'm exaggerating, but things like that kill people all the time. Last year in the Lake George Americade motorcycle rally, two or three motorcyclists were riding and they got hit. A steel beam came off of a truck, off of a tractor trailer, and it just like sliced through them. I mean, it was a disaster. It was horrible. So I'm riding along, Now, beyond that garbage bag falling off of the truck, the position that's now putting me in, because I do give a shit and I have self-preservation instincts, I want to get in front of that guy as fast and as safely as possible, because if something else falls off of that truck, you know, kind of like the saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Well, if I'm still behind that truck and something else falls off and I had an opportunity to get in front of it, then shame on me for not taking that opportunity as a fairly smart motorcyclist who's fairly experienced and knows mostly what he's doing. So I just think that it then obligated me to go out of my way and put myself in harm's way by speeding through traffic to get out of his way. Why should I have to put myself in danger to compensate for your stupidity? People need to realize their actions may not seem like they're putting anyone in danger on the surface. Oh, I'm just sending a quick text. It's no big deal. But the problem comes in when you are sending that text in heavy traffic and you don't see someone in front of you and they brake and you pull out on someone, whatever. The roadways of today and forever really are, well, for the last 20-30 years, are fast moving. We're not in the 50s anymore where everybody goes 40 miles an hour because the vehicles don't go faster than that. I mean, we're on highways where you're going 50, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. And if you're doing other things to distract you, or not loading a trailer correctly or a truck correctly, you're just causing so much extra problems that don't have to be there. You're just making everybody's life more dangerous for no reason. Nobody needs to talk, nobody needs stuff falling off of trucks that could have been loaded correctly. It's just unacceptable. It's just, people need to care more. People need to worry about things like that and not just have an I don't give a shit lifestyle and just do whatever they want, whatever's convenient, because they don't feel like walking back in the garage to get another tie strap. Alright, so here I began to go a little bit astray on what I was talking about, and I did want to bring up one more subject that I never said on the bike, and really what this comes down to is moral responsibility. I mentioned like physical, we'll call it, responsibility and making sure people don't get hurt, but there's a certain moral responsibility I feel like people seem to not have, like just simple things like saying please and thank you, to a waiter or waitress, or ordering food, um, teaching your kids to be respectful and not swear all the time and all that sort of stuff. And it just seems like every day I see people who are just flat out rude. Um, and I hate, again, I hate to sound so pessimistic, because I also see a ton of people that are really kind and hold doors open for people and are really good people too. But it's just a matter of living to a moral standard that you don't do something just because no, you won't get caught. Like it's something I actually learned in my hunter safety course, I think, was a little bit about morals, and one of the things they talked about was doing things like there's two different ways of doing things. You can do something the right way because someone's watching you and you would get caught, or you can then do it the wrong way and say unlawful way, knowing you won't get caught because nobody can see you. But the point is, and a morally sound person will still do the lawful and the right thing even when nobody's watching, because they have good morals and good ethic values. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't care about. They'll go to a restaurant, let's say, and I don't know, they like the fork and they just take it because they want that fork. I don't know, that's a weird example, but whatever. And I think that they'll say to themselves, oh, it's a chain restaurant, Ruby Tuesdays, and they won't miss one fork. Who cares? And yeah, they probably won't. They'll probably never even notice it's gone. But the point is that it's not the right thing to do. It's just that's the point. Yeah, you can do it. You won't get caught, and will anybody really be affected by it? No. But it's just a matter of doing the right thing, and especially when it comes to something like that, because there's just no point to do it. And no one's perfect. I mean, everybody's stolen something at some point in their life, even if it is something small or when they were a kid or whatever. So again, I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to make it sound like if you've stolen something in your life, you're just an absolutely terrible person. But it just comes down to really thinking about what you do before you do it and saying to yourself, I could do this, I won't get caught, but does that make it right? And I think that's something that a lot of people nowadays don't care about. They just say to themselves, okay, I won't get caught, so let me do whatever I want. And sometimes they're wrong and they do get caught, but oftentimes they're not wrong. And to me, that's what makes the world a worse place because of that. Anyways, that's basically everything I want to say on the topic, but we'll close it off a little bit more of me on the bike. I must add, now I'm not perfect either. I don't want to make it sound like I'm the most personally responsible person. I never screw up. Nothing I've ever done has hurt someone, because that's just not true. I've done a lot of things that could have potentially hurt someone or did hurt someone that I probably shouldn't have done, and I think anybody can say that. So I don't want to totally incriminate this guy, for an example, or anybody else for mistakes they've made. Everybody makes mistakes, but what it comes down to is not repeating those mistakes and learning from them. And I feel like a lot of people don't learn from the mistakes and they don't care about the mistakes. So just I hope anybody watching this can keep that in mind. Maybe hopefully they agree with me. If you don't, feel free to write a comment in the comments and tell me off and share your opinion. That's cool. And peace.